A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing people out there to my channel, the Twinflame Union. And this is the part 2 of the channeling session, Divine Masculine Daydreams about DF while he is with her. So in this channeling session, I actually got connected with two DMs first, and then in between, when I take these breaks, I do other stuff. And this is happening quite a lot in the past few, I can say, months, ever since we had the lockdown situation. I got more and more channeling, and then last 2 months more, and this month even more. So I keep catching up these messages and different people. I have to say this to you all. A few years back, when I was in the corporate world, doing all the corporate stuff, waking up in the morning, getting ready for work, driving to work, then being in the office and living like a machine every single day, doing the same damn things, like the routine. Not that I'm not grateful for what the job taught me, but I would have never believed that I would be doing this after a few years. Precisely, this is where I'm getting to. Back then, that self of me would have never imagined that few years down the line, I would be channeling messages. I would become a channeler. I never thought that. And when I wrote my book, for quite some time, I actually thought that I wrote the book. I, me, myself, that I was actually quite confused, because I was the kind of person who had no idea about love. Literally no idea. I was always searching for love, always searching for true love, but I was really stupid and really poor with the whole romantic stuff that people do. I think I still am. I'm not very good with romantic stuff, and romantic books, they are not my favorite at all. Like, if I have a choice to read something totally romantic or something which is on the lines of science fiction or on the lines of basically something scientific, something which is into quantum mysticism, which is my favorite subject, not even the physics part. I would rather read the mysticism part. I would actually not choose the romantic novels. So when I wrote my book, In the Name of Love, a lot of people actually thought it's a romantic book because of the title. I changed the spelling of love. I made it LUUV because I wanted to tell people that this is not the usual love that you see that's being sold in the market. So I used to actually think that how come a person like me, who does not like the idea of romance at all, end up writing a book called In the Name of Love? And when I was writing those intense stories, they are so intense. Anyone who's read it, comment and let me know if you've read it. They're so intense. And I was this person who was always a workaholic, always working. I started working very early. When I was 15, I started doing all these promotions and campaigns, and then by 16, more serious, and by 17, I had a full-fledged job. And 18, I was already doing good stuff for myself in the corporate world. I won't get into what all I've done, but I did start working early, and there was no pressure from my family. In fact, my family was not happy that I was working so early. They wanted me to focus on my studies, and I was like, don't worry. My first job, most of my jobs were actually part-time jobs in the very beginning, or they would not require me doing the whole 9 to 5 shift. I was also homeschooled. So I could see that I was raised a bit differently, but that was not happening with my siblings. I was the only person who was going through those things, and everything was happening on its own. Like, no one wanted it to happen. Nobody had planned it, because for the way I was raised, the house I come from, the upbringing I got, my parents only wanted the stereotypical upbringing. Though my father always pushed me into being who I am, he always wanted me to become a writer, become a journalist. And I used to always be against that. I would never agree to what he wanted. But eventually, he was my father. I wanted him to be happy. And now also I give him a lot of credit, because he really loved me unconditionally. So I want to say this to all of you all, that I had no idea about this. I had no idea that this would happen to me. And I know a lot of you feel this way. A lot of you feel this way because a lot of you were confused as children. Things just kept happening to you and you kept flowing. And today I can say that everything happens for a reason, and good or bad doesn't really matter. It's all a part of the game. It's all a part of the big plan. And till the end, you shouldn't really care about what's going to happen. So, I never wanted people, and if you read all the 5 stories, you would see that all of them have a very unique ending. I never wanted to actually write about what Mills and Boons were writing about, or I didn't want to write about what they show in movies, that type of a love, that type of superficial love. Love cannot be superficial. If it's actually love, it cannot be superficial. You cannot say that my boyfriend or my husband has to have 6-pack abs, then only he's attractive for me. Or my wife has to be, I don't know what are the beauty standards. The beauty standards for women keep changing as per what the corporations want, whatever they want to sell. Or they have like standard formats, like 5 or 6 standard formats. Like they had been putting a lot of money into Kylie Jenner or these weirdos. They want people to look in a certain way. It's almost like they want people to be in some kind of a mold, stuck in a mold. People are stuck in a mold. So back then, I never thought that I would be doing these channeling sessions. I've never really thought I would be a healer, or I would be a writer, or I would write about mysticism. That was the last thing I imagined myself doing. Trust me on that. So anything can happen to you. But the only thing I remember since childhood, the only thing I always held on to was faith. I always knew that I just said that, okay, I know somebody out there knows that I am here, they love me, and I know they will watch out for me always. And I have been in really crazy situations, and I've literally seen all types of situations. And in this channeling, I don't want to yap about my own self, guys and girls. I just want to say, I'm saying all these things because I want to tell you all that you have to love yourself first. And these energies, these people that I'm picking on, all these masculines that I'm picking on, they all love the feminine for who she is. And in the second masculine, what I see is that he used to have a lot of fights with his DF. Lot of fights, like crazy fights. They used to fight like cats and dogs. And he actually thought that she's a scammer. And from being a scammer and hating her every single day, he literally wanted to destroy her. He wanted her to be out of his sight. And from that situation to what I see, that he is so much in love with her, he respects her. There were misunderstandings, and such horrible misunderstandings. You actually used to think that she's a horrible person. Probably the worst person he's ever met. From there to he is loving her while they are in an office corporate situation. The reason why I actually spoke about, I went back to my corporate days and how I started working is because of this channeling, because I see them both in a corporate setup, and this is not a typical corporate setup, because most of the corporate setups are very boring and very machine-like, the environment. You just wake up in the morning, you get ready for work, you wear your formal clothes, then you get into the car, you drive, then you go to the office, you're there for 7, 8, 9 hours, 10 hours, whatever is required of you. And you look at the same faces every day, and everyone is just working because they have to earn a salary. If you say to them that there is no salary, I bet you with you on this, I can make a bet on this, they will not come even for the next hour. They won't even work for one more hour because the jobs are so boring for them. They are not doing it because they love it. They're doing it because they have to earn money and they have to run a house. That's it. So that's the environment that most divine feminines and masculines are pushed into, thrown into. And I have been a part of that. And from that, if you have to break free and come into your natural self, where you're not worried about the last month's, the last day of the month where you get the salary, or whatever arrangement you have, first week, or in some countries you have weekly salaries. Most people are literally doing these things because they are not taught to grow food. They're not taught to grow herbs. They're not taught that we can live in an interdependent society, that I grow tomatoes, you grow potatoes, and we can exchange. And someone else can grow something else, someone else can grow something else. Earth is big, it's beautiful, it's abundant. You can do anything on planet Earth, and yet they sell genetically engineered food. They sell you processed food and they force you to eat it, in the sense they market it so heavily, and they put you in those lifestyles where you have no other choice but to actually eat whatever you can get. And you spend a whole lot of money just to sustain the lifestyle wherein you are their slave. In India, we are currently seeing that our Prime Minister is telling people to become independent. He is telling people that India should become a country that does not depend on anyone else, and they have their own self-dependent economy. Everyone does their own businesses. They are basically trying to promote small businesses, small setups, and individuals to do their own work and make money by it. Because you can see that the economy in the whole world is crashing literally. In the last few months, all of us have seen a lot. And if you're on this twin flame journey, and I can say that few months that I did not do any work on this channel, it's because I was also doing work with animals, with street animals, and I still do it every single day. They give me purpose. They give me a lot of meaning to my life. My street animals are amazing people out there, and I am what I am because of them, because they have taught me unconditional love. And dogs especially, they give you so much unconditional love. It's just amazing. I'm so grateful to all of them. So the divine masculines, basically, one more person got added actually in this channeling. Between part 1 and part 2, I had to take a break and I had to do other things. So sometimes these channelings come like a quick vision. They come like a knock on the door. They just happen. I'm sitting and doing nothing, or I'm just watching something, or I'm reading something, and then I suddenly get this vision and this very intense, strong feeling. So I got another person added to this list. So these two, the first one was with his DF in some nature, some environmental stuff they were doing. The second one was in this corporate environment where there was a lot of chaos and everybody is very busy. They're all doing something good. They are actually working. It's an agriculture company. It's related to agriculture, something to do with crops and seeds and things like that. So they're doing something good, actually. They're doing something good for people. So they're very busy, and in between all this busyness, both of them are smiling at each other, blushing at each other, crushing on each other, finding ways to just, kind of touch each other in a nice way, not in a horny way. They're not horny at all, by the way. So these are the things they're doing, and this couple used to fight a lot, and now they are opposite of that. So they have cleared out misunderstandings. And the divine feminine also, she did not know that she loved him, and now she is also 100% sure that this is the guy she loves. And the third channeling I received, where the guy's daydreaming, is in a metro city where this DM is waiting to meet his DF outside a restaurant somewhere, and they're about to meet, and he's waiting for her to come. And before she's there, he's actually daydreaming on how the meeting would be, and he would do what are the things that he would do to her. He would hold her hand, he would say something nice to her, give her a compliment maybe. He has a big smile on his face, and his heartbeat is in that mushy pink zone, and he's thinking 100 things to say to her, and this DM can't even actually wait anymore. He's like, I've waited so long for this girl to come over here. She's still not come here. How long am I going to wait? So every single minute is actually looking like a big one long hour to him. And he's so excited to see her. He's so excited. He wants to literally get up and, like pick her in her arms, and just like how you do when you meet someone after a really long time and you just want to crash into them, you hold them. He really wants to do that to her. And when she comes in front of him, he cannot say or do anything at all. He's just very, very, very normal, and he's thinking in his head that I should do something, I should say something, but it's like they're having a very regular conversation, like what would you like to have, and so how was your day, and things like that. And he is thinking in his head that I just want to grab hold of her and I just want to bite her. I just want to actually check if it's actually real, if she's actually there or not. He's just actually very dumbfounded because all his plannings have not worked. He is thinking that she has a lot of power over him, and he just can't do anything. Like whatever he planned, and he also notices that she is very formal with him, and there are moments like he is continuously daydreaming while they're having food and while they're enjoying the day and they're having a nice day. He is continuously daydreaming of what all he wants to do to her. What all he really wants to do to her. He wants to kiss her, he wants to hold her, he wants to make her sit on his lap, and he wants to ask her, like he wants to fight with her also, he wants to argue with her. All of these things he's imagining in his head, and at the same time she's sitting in front of him and looking very beautiful and attractive. He actually had not imagined that she would be so attractive, because they had been talking over the phone, they've been doing video calls for each other. It's always different when you meet someone in person than what you see in pictures and in videos and on phone calls. So when he's seeing her in front of him, he's actually quite dumbfounded because he never imagined that she would be so attractive. She's even more attractive than what he had imagined. So this is the third DM who's daydreaming while the girl is in front.